What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Bow wow, yeah, yeah. 9-4 plus 5 pennies. Add that shit up, nigga. What a dizzle bizzle. Sorry, I was listening to Snoop before I started recording this video. So this episode, I want to talk about some fighters who have upcoming fights, and I like to call it the In Shape edition. So first, starting with Danny Garcia. Just want to give Danny Swift Garcia major props. Not necessarily for his opponent. It looks like his camp, his dad, Golden Boy, they're trying to promote him, trying to build it. And I understand he's had some tough fights. Ever since the Eric Morales fight, he's been on a roll. He took a rematch based on a rematch clause, Eric Morales fight. He had the fight with Zab Judah, which stylistically could have posed his style a lot of problems. And he weathered that storm in the championship rounds. Fought Lucas Matisse, which was the guy that everybody said he had to fight and he was ducking, he was scared of. And he made it look easier than a lot of people anticipated. And I think some even had him the underdog. So he's had a tough schedule. I'll give him credit for that. Not really fond of his next opponent. Not saying Mauricio Herrera isn't tough, but there's a lot of guys who are tough and can make tough fights, but that doesn't necessarily put them in the driver's seat, in my opinion, to have certain fights. Like Floyd Mayweather is the fight that everyone wants. There's a lot of guys who I think could stand a chance of posing a good threat to Floyd Mayweather, or give him a good scrap better than others. I think guys like Jesus Soto Caras even is one of the fighters who, based on his length, he's very lengthy, he's a volume fighter, he has a hell of a chin. A lot of people say Floyd Mayweather doesn't have that much crack at welterweight. So if that's the case, he's going to have a relentless fighter who can throw these long punches. He's Mexican, so he has heart. And I think overall it could be a difficult style matchup for Floyd Mayweather based on who Floyd Mayweather is and everything included. Does he deserve it? No. Will he beat Floyd Mayweather? I'm not saying that either. I'm just saying it could be a stylistic harder fight than other fighters, like, you know what I mean, that Floyd Mayweather's fought. Some people say, oh, I don't agree with you, Ego, because Jesus Soto Caras is slow and he's more of a flat-footed fighter, whatever. But that's just my opinion. I also think guys like Keith Thurman. But again, it gets to a point where some fighters don't necessarily deserve the shot. In my opinion, I think there's other fights that Danny Garcia could have. They would probably be a little bit riskier, so they would add to a string of tough fights. But I think they would make for a better fight for the fans. And that's guys like even Hank Lundy, Lamont Peterson, of course, or Kareem Mayfield. Just my opinion. But I do give Danny Garcia major props for being in shape and staying in shape. It seems that every time I see him, the good thing about social networks, you get to follow up with different fighters and see their daily routines and stuff. And every time I see the dude, he's usually in shape. I don't recall a time where I'm like, damn, he looks like you look at Adrian Broner or somebody. There's been times where I'm like, fuck, Adrian Broner looks big as fuck, and not in a good way. He doesn't look like sliced. He just looks like just big and like he has a beer belly, like fucking King of the Hill. God damn it, Bobby. Like, he doesn't look good. But Danny Garcia always stays within reason, within like his walking around weight. Every time I see him, he stays within a certain threshold where he never looks just morbidly obese or like Ricky Hatton, when Ricky Hatton used to balloon up in weight in his offseason and that kind of thing. So props to Danny Garcia. This is a recent picture of him. He's training hard for the Mauricio Herrera fight, trying to put on for the Puerto Rican crowd, for Puerto Ricans. And good luck to him in his upcoming fight. Also want to give credit to Canelo. Canelo, another fighter who's big. I think a fighter who doesn't necessarily need to be fighting at 154 based on what his body's telling him to do. But for whatever reason, he's trying to make the fight and stay at that weight. He's comfortable at it. And it looks like he's staying within reason. He made the catch weight in the Mayweather fight. A lot of people thought he was going to starve himself, but with the proper diet and just a hard, vigorous workout, he was able to make the weight, and he looked good. He looked like he was in good shape. Some people thought he looked a little bit dry, but I mean, that's what happens when he's too big and you're fighting in the weight class that you shouldn't necessarily be fighting. Now he has a tough test comeback fight. Both fighters off a loss, and he's coming off a loss to Alfredo Angulo. And Alfredo Angulo's coming off a loss. So this is a great fight, a tough fight. He looks like he's taking it serious. I've seen some training clips of him and some footage. It looks like he's losing the weight. For a minute, it looked like he had got a little bit big. And it looks like he's shaving it off. One thing, if you know men's fitness, men's health, one thing about guys, a lot of times when guys lose weight, you'll see it a lot in their face. Like me, the times where I've gained weight and then when I start getting back in the gym tough, you'll always notice it in my face. My face will always, like, my cheeks will thin out, like not like fucking Michael Jackson in Thriller, doom doom, doom doom doom, boom boom, not nothing crazy, but you'll see my face slim down. Not like crackhead status or nothing, but you'll notice a difference in my face. And I think there's a lot of guys that are like that, Canelo being one of them. If you look at this picture, you can see he's losing some of the weight in his face. If you look at the early press conference where they did the initial face-off with Angulo and stuff, Canelo looked like his face was a lot fuller. And obviously with training and being in training camp, his fight a few weeks out, he's losing that weight, which is good. So props to Canelo for losing weight. This is kind of what he looked like at the around the same time last fight. Anyway, I'm just playing. And I also want to give props to Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. Now, I've been critical on Chavez Jr. for one reason. I feel there's been times where he has not taken the sport serious. This is a sport I love, that I dedicate a lot of my time to, whether it's conducting interviews with people, doing motion graphics or illustrations or Photoshop, making the videos, audio, recording, editing. I mean, I dedicate a lot of myself to this, and I'm not getting a fraction of what he's getting to be a fighter. Even beyond monetary gain, this is what your father did. This is what made you a household name in the United States. So you owe it to the sport to, and you owe it to your father's name to put your best foot forward. That's all we can ask of you. So I've been critical because, like I said, he's tested positive 2 times for PEDs. One was a diuretic, one was marijuana, if you want to call that a PED or whatever. Not a good look, you know what I mean? And you're coming from that lineage, you're coming from your father's greatness. You would want to make your father proud. But I will say, it looks like Chavez Jr. is taking this training camp a lot more serious. He's heard the rumors, he's heard the uproar about the last fight with Brian Vera. A lot of people, including myself, thought Brian Vera should have won that fight. And I thought the smaller man was backing up the bigger man. I thought Chavez Jr. would be a lot more aggressive. But again, he was trying to play Marquez, like trying to do this Marquez counter-punching shit. And his punches had effect because he was the bigger man, but he was still getting outworked by the smaller dude. So he's heard all the commotion. He's heard all the outcries and the people that despise the turn of events and him winning that fight. So it looks like he's really buckling down, getting serious. I heard he's training with Robert Garcia, and he's trying to get back to the basics. And that's exactly what he needs to do in his career, because it's like the last straw. If he looks bad in this fight, a lot of people are going to throw him out the window, maybe go for it, root for his younger brother, or go off to Canelo or Gennady Golovkin, Pacquiao, Mayweather, whoever else in the sport. But the sport doesn't really have room for people who are going to half-ass it. So I'm really glad to see Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. It looks like he's taking it serious. I mean, he's weeks out from his fight, and he looks like he's in shape. He looks like he's ready to go right now, and that's what you should be. There's an old saying, stay ready so you don't have to get ready. And it looks like he's doing that. I think personally that he's going to try to make a statement in this fight and show people like, hey, that was a fluke. I wasn't fully prepared, or I was bullshitting, and this is the real me. And I think he might even stop Brian Vera. It's not my official prediction, but I think he's going to look out to try to make a statement in this particular fight. And by doing his training the way it looks like he's doing it, I've seen him, he's shedding the weight. That's a good sign. That's a good sign for him in his career, because ultimately he's going to try to fight a George Groves, Carl Froch winner, maybe an Andre Ward, maybe a Triple G in the future. And you got to look good. You know what I mean? You can't have these stepping stone type opponents like Brian Vera. Not a bad fighter. Not clowning Brian Vera. I'm not saying anything bad about him, but people look at the person with the bigger name often in the sport of boxing, and they expect them to win. Like, oh, Amir Khan? Who's this Danny Garcia dude? I don't fucking know him. Amir Khan's going to win that. And then when he doesn't, it's a shocker. Real boxing fans know, and they're a little bit more objective, but a lot of people, like for the casual fans, they look for the bigger name. Like, oh, I've seen that redhead Mexican, so he's going to win. You know what I'm saying? So as far as Chavez Jr. is concerned, this will kind of revive his career if he has a great performance, especially like a stoppage, and looks like Chavez Jr. like he did in the Andy Lee fight. Now, in the Andy Lee fight, Lee looked good early, but Lee had the height advantage, and he was using that to his advantage early, and it was more of a puzzle for Chavez to figure out. And then Chavez Jr. just lured him in to the wrong type of fight. Andy Lee started getting away from what was working for him, and the rest is history. He just broke him down piece by piece and then wore him down. So I'm anxious to see how Chavez Jr. looks, because so far he's been that Zab Judah. He's been that type of loose cannon fighter where we don't know who's going to show up, like James Kirkland. What version of Chavez is going to show up? Is he going to look good like the Andy Lee fight? Is he going to get outboxed for 11.5 rounds and then have a miraculous 12th round like he did in the Sergio Martinez fight? What version of him is going to show up? So it's a good sign that he's in shape and ready to go, because at this point in his last fight, and even closer to, he was not in shape. He looked way too big. They had to keep switching the weight classes for him and make all these provisions and clauses and switch the rules up to accommodate him. And then the fight actually happened and he still didn't even look that good. So I'm really proud of Chavez Jr. for whoever's been in his ear or telling himself that, hey, a change is needed. I need to get back to the basics. And if I really want this, I got to show people that I really want this. So looks like he's in great shape. Let me know what you guys think of this video. This is the In Shape edition. That's it for Shizzle Bizzle. As always, hate, comment, or subscribe to the next video. It's Ego signing off.